All I ask is that Shedeur gets a real chance to start a game.
I think at this point that Browns fans would admit they're open to any and all possibilities. Shedeur Sanders has been a fan favorite and media favorite up there in Cleveland, Ohio for the Cleveland Browns. And a lot of people are demanding that he gets his shot at being QB1 for the Brownies. But it seems like from the latest leaks from Mrs. Mary Kay Cabot, a very notorious Browns reporter. Browns fans, please fill the rest of us in the comments because I've heard she's done a couple of things. It's leaking that Shedeur Sanders is QB3. I don't know, man. I don't know. We were getting other media saying that he was far in ahead. Some people said Dylan Gabriel was better. So today we're going to hear and read that reporting. We're also going to hear from our guys at ESPN Radio, or sorry, ESPN Cleveland Radio. They do a great job, Rizzo and them, kind of supporting Shedeur, but also being pretty truthful. So I think they do a great job there. And then if we have time as well, we'll get into Shedeur signing officially his Browns contract, and people will get into the differences between the NIL, because I mean I did with Quinn Ewers, so we'll talk about it with Shedeur. And then, hey man, a lot has been said about Dylan Gabriel and Kenny Pickett, but we'll give them a little praise. We'll talk about them because look, they're no slouches. I know people like to make jokes about it, but hey, I love good football, man. So if you enjoy these videos, like it. If you don't like it, dislike it, subscribe. If you enjoy football content of all shapes and sizes, let's get right into it. So Mary Kay Cabot expects Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel to be the first and second quarterback splitting team reps when OTAs begin. So I want to, before we even go deeper into this, and we're going to hear obviously from ESPN radios and everything else in between. But before we go any further with that, I want to make sure that we read what it is at face value. At face value, it is that Kenny Pickett, right, and Dylan Gabriel are simply going to get the first team, or splitting the first team reps, right? The first and second quarterback splitting team reps when OTAs begin. That's just OTAs, guys. That's not even, they haven't even gotten to the official summer stuff. So these are optional team activities, optional team activities, right? So I don't even know if Joe Flacco is going to be out there. Oh, here it is. She said Joe Flacco and Shedeur will be the third and fourth quarterbacks splitting team reps in group sessions. Okay, so they're going to split into two groups. So here it is in detail. In terms of their batting order, number one and number two, then Flacco and Sanders will be splitting 3 and 4 at the outset, largely based on how and when they were acquired. Okay, so yeah, again, that's what I was kind of getting into. It's more about just, hey, we got Dylan Gabriel first, we have Kenny Pickett, and we also got, you know what I'm saying, like we got you later too. So here it is. The Browns set out to draft Gabriel in the third round and pass on Sanders 6 times before trading up to get him in the 5th round. Oh wow, I don't know why you had to put that. I think we know that, Mary. But it remains to be seen how they'll split the concurrent passing drills. Replacing a rookie with a vet seems to make the most sense. And again, I also want to say, not only is this just OTAs, like it's really not that deep. On top of that, I would like to say that, you know, Joe Flacco and Shedeur Sanders have kind of been linked together. I know I did a video, was it last week, a few days back, where one of the the Browns insiders actually spoke to Joe Flacco, and some of the things that he had praise for regarding Shedeur Sanders kind of lined up with, you know, someone that can have a nice, you know, healthy relationship when it comes to hopefully honing in what he can do great. And I think not Kenny Pickett, I think Joe Flacco is definitely a quarterback that, you know, does the things that Shedeur Sanders is going to want to do at the high level, minus the big bad velocity balls, because that's what January Joe was known for. That was his thing. He could just throw piss missiles down the street. But it doesn't mean that Shedeur Sanders can't be amazingly successful. It doesn't mean that he can't be a 2-time Super Bowl champion like Joe Flacco, January Joe, elite Joe Flacco. You kids better do y'all research on Joe. I cannot believe he's still in the league. That is crazy. So I think that's going to be a great benefit for Shedeur. And then, like I said, it's OTAs, guys. Who knows, you know? But again, let's be real now. We do have to be real. Kenny Pickett has NFL experience. Dylan Gabriel was picked before Shedeur for a reason. Clearly, the Browns like him for a reason. So don't be surprised if Shedeur isn't starting, even when it gets later into the week. But let's hear it from our radio guys. Now, the question was asked, about this report, and this is what the people at the Cleveland Radio had to say.
This is from Mary Kay Cabot at Cleveland.com. She writes, in terms of their battling order and team drills, it will likely be Pickett and Gabriel, number 1 and number 2, then Flacco and Sanders splitting the number 3 and number 4 reps at the outset. Placing a rookie with a veteran seems to make the most sense.
Are you surprised that it is Kenny Pickett and Dylan Gabriel, number 1, number 2, as of right now?
Nothing surprises me. You know, if they would have said it was Dylan Gabriel with the first rep, if they would have said it was like Shedeur, maybe that would have been a little surprising.
Training camp and preseason games are going to be must watch.
This is I'm so happy. Shout out to ESPN Cleveland because I've made a few conversations. I made a few references to kind of the positives that this is going to bring when it comes to media wise, but the NFL, dog, y'all are geniuses. Y'all got idiots like me to watch the day 2 and day 3 of NFL draft, which I've never done. I've been following the draft since like high school. I used to, Just Bomb Productions. You know what I'm saying? Wait, is that he does all the breakdowns, right? I haven't watched him while he was the one, man. He used to do all the breakdowns. I remember the Rashad Perryman class. Is that what when the Miami Mill line? But anyway, that's the point. So I love draft classes and getting into it, and I always look over after it. But as far as watching all those, because day 2 and 3 is like a speed round. They're just going, right? It is well, not as much day 2, but definitely day 3 is like, all right, we're sending names. So it makes more sense to, all right, now that everything's done at the end, all right, what do people have? So the fact that you have people like me tuning in, locked in, listening, keeping up on Twitter about it, and then you're gonna find a way. You're gonna find a way to make me watch some preseason games, ain't you, man? That's cold-blooded NFL. I don't know how y'all did it, but y'all gonna make me watch some preseason. I detest I love football. I cannot stand preseason football. And you're like, why? I mean, I love the 37U football. I love the high school, everything except preseason, because it's just the air of, y'all ain't really trying. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'd rather watch a high school scrimmage than a preseason game. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's at high school scrimmage, there's people out there, they really want it now. They really want to put their life on the line. So a lot of people are speculating, hey, does that mean that Kenny Pickett is QB1? I don't think so. I don't think he's the favorite, quote unquote, to win. I just think that even matching styles, right? Kenny Pickett is a bit of an unorthodox quarterback with the small hands, and not just small hands, but also throwing with the 2 gloves. Kenny Pickett does have the smallest hands in the room. Sanders, the second biggest hands size when it comes to the room, and of course Dylan Gabriel right there, and Joe Felicity, January Joe up top. But let's go deeper. Let's kind of go a little further. Our guy, the Riz, over there, Rizzo's gonna have some things. You got Grossi. He's even saying some things. They're going to react to that pairing that we just talked about. And then if we have time, again, we're going to talk about that hand size matter. We're going to get into the Shady McCoy. And then, of course, I'll yap it up. And then more importantly, we'll see how much money. You see how much money that boy got? Okay, let's check it out. Let's stop pocket watching. Let's get into what the Riz has to say.
She says, quote, it will be Pickett and Gabriel, 1 and 2, then Flacco and Sanders, 3 and 4. All I ask is that Shedeur gets a real chance to start a game, even a preseason game. Just you have to see the kid playing a game. I know that they're going to chart every pass in practice. Oh, because the team's doing it. I don't give a crap. That kid's a gamer that doesn't show up at a combine, doesn't show up in practice, shows up on the field when you need to win a game. Like when Baker went in on a Thursday night and opened the fridges. That meant something.
Shout out to Tony Rizzo. Really shout out to Tony Rizzo because, people wanted to kill and continue to kill Mel Kiper about being so passionate about Shedeur and XYZ. And now that the smoke has cleared, has it like behooved anybody or came to anybody's mind that maybe, just maybe, he's good at playing football? Maybe Mr. Tony Rizzo, they had the same first name. That's crazy. I was trying not to call one Tony and the other Tony. I was like, they're not both named Tony. Anyway, it's crazy that Tony Rizzo is so passionate, but not only that, but because I think that's how a lot of people feel, right? And I think a lot of people are pointing at people being passionate about a player like people used to bang the drum about Baker Mayfield, and I was anti-Baker Mayfield. I was in that camp. Oh no, Baker Mayfield's not this, he's not that. Again, I'm a Longhorn, so I had to throw some negativity at him. But I think he proved me wrong. But the Browns didn't even like him. He won games and broke records, and the Browns were like, get out of here as soon as they could. As soon as that, he played with a banged up shoulder. And I commend Baker Mayfield for that. But yeah, man, I think that it means a lot that he is consistently like, hey, just give him a shot. I'm not saying he's the greatest of all time. I'm not saying he's this. I'm not saying he's that. But within a team, in an era of the Browns where there's been a lot of despair, and the last man that you paid a boatload of money, who basically broke the quarterback market, the first ever fully guaranteed deal, and did all this other stuff, just to result in a few seasons of terrible play. It's rough. I think at this point that Browns fans would admit that they're open to any and all possibilities, and I think it's fair to that point that from a football standpoint, it's not just, oh, I want Shedeur. It's like, why not try Shedeur? Like, we got to try something, dog. Like, we got to give everybody, and you better try Dillon Gabriel. You better try Dillon Gabriel. He gives you a whole nother element. Obviously, he's a little more athletic. Now, we'll see what his athleticism, because he's not a super athlete. I'm not sure, I'm not sure how well he's going to be able to track to the NFL. Maybe he just uses it to bail himself out a little bit. You know what I'm saying? We'll see. But you better try him out. You better try the fake sliding Kenny Pickett as well. Now, notorious, again, this is what my Browns fans told me, a notorious Browns hater, Browns propagator, Mr. Grassi, it kind of speaks on what we just heard about there.
Tony, what did you make of this 1, 2, 3, 4 scenario that was put out on Cleveland.com? That it'll be Pickett and Gabriel, and then Flacco and Sanders.
Is that an opinion, or is that attributed to a source who wasn't authorized to speak without anonymity?
If indeed that's how it goes, how would you feel about that?
It makes no sense to me.
Oh,
okay. My point is, you should pair it up. Two guys are battling for the starting job, and two guys are battling for what's left. And that's the way it should be paired up.
Interesting. Okay. Y'all make sure y'all go watch the Tony Rizzo show, the Really Big Show. Again, we just use these as little snippets to pop off on. Yeah. So I think that's interesting. I think that's interesting that he even finds problem. I think that's fair because, again, with OTA, it don't really matter who's 1 and 2. Like that's what I'm trying to get across. It doesn't matter that Shedeur is QB4 or QB3, whatever in OTAs. Like, they're just trying to get their reps. But what does matter is that pairing. And like I said, I like that Shedeur gets paired with Joe Flacco. And to his point, what it really should be is Dillon Gabriel. Here's what I say. If you're pro Shedeur, you want Shedeur to get almost, I wouldn't say special treatment, but you would want him to get, buddy, get together, maybe do some things, maybe get a little extra time with Joe Flacco. I feel like having Joe Flacco as your running mate, somebody who has not just done it, but done it at a high level, has won championships, right? I think that is an intangible, invaluable level of information and learning that you can do if you can get that close to them. Now, realistically, how close are they going to be? How positive or reluctant is Joe Flacco going to be to, really, give him that knowledge? Who knows? What if Joe Flacco is out there like, hey, y'all young motherfuckers ain't going to take my position? What if Joe Flacco's thinking that, right? I think everybody assumes, just like everybody, I think, assumes Deshaun Watson is just not in the conversation. I think a lot of people also assume that Joe Flacco is going to be like an old speed bump and just be like, okay, cool. And hey, maybe he is. He's just like, okay, well, if y'all are better than that. But what if Joe Flacco comes out there and all these other 3 quarterbacks light a fire under January Joe, and all of a sudden you get prime time, you know what I'm saying? A real deal elite Joe Flacco. Just the whole camp, just because they lit that fire on him. I don't know that's going to happen. We saw you play the Colts last time, Flacco. We love you, but man. But I don't know. Who knows? Comment down below who you think the quarterback 2 is going to be. Now, don't tell me who the quarterback 3 or the 1. No. Tell me when we open the season, who is the Browns quarterback 2 right now? Let's hear from New Heights. They're going to speak a little bit, specifically Ryan Fitzpatrick. Obviously, you got Travis and what's it called? Andrew Whitworth. Travis Kelce. What's the other Kelce? Jason Kelce. Gosh darn it. I can't. There's too many names. They're going to speak on that hand size here.
Let's talk small hands. There was a tweet that came out. Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco doing the exact same pose at the top of their drop with the ball right here. And
they got to do Kenny Pickett like that.
Because Joe Flacco's hands
Joe's
enormous.
Yeah, just because Joe has monster hands, don't go after Kenny.
Have you guys ever heard the term beaters?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Joe's got some beaters.
Yeah. What do you take away from the hand measurement test?
Somebody like Josh Allen, like he's built to play football in bad weather, right? Just body type, hand size, where he's from, like just kind of his overall attitude. So yes, there's some validity in the hand size thing for sure. And it really comes to fruition when you're in those bad weather games.
So good point from a longtime legend and Mr. Ryan Fitzpatrick. He did some great years for my Texans, and really gave it all he had to savage some terrible seasons over there for the Texans. So interesting to hear, interesting to talk about the advantages that Shedeur has, because I really do think he's going to need every single one of them. Like, let's not get it twisted. I'm a Shedeur guy, but I still think that it's going to be an uphill battle, when it comes to certain things, and starting off right here. I think this is something that people are going to try to use as like a gotcha moment against Shedeur Sanders. I don't think he's thinking about that. Maybe he's thinking about it, because it's a lot of money that he's technically losing out on comparative of NIL deals. But does it really matter, right? Is it going to be something that he's going to be able to recuperate? I think so, and I think he's going to be able to recoup pretty easily. Now, let's speak on, obviously, his NIL or earnings last year at Colorado were apparently $6 million. Now, where they get that number from, who knows, right? And I want to point out, Shedeur Sanders doesn't get money from the collective. It's NIL deals. Those are actual Beats, Nike, you know what I'm saying? Like real deal deals. I'm just letting you know. So $4.6 million is his rookie contract, which he did officially sign. I believe he has a $400,000 signing bonus. So that's him officially putting his name, you know what I'm saying, where it needs to be. Yeah, you feel me? Big smiles. That boy fresh with the baggy one sleeve. That's what he do. That's what he do. You feel me? So shout out to him. I think it's easy to point out and say, oh, he's making less money because of NIL, the NIL era. How does that affect the way players did? But just like when I talked about in my Quinn Ewers video, we watched that video, and what we saw was a young man who was still fulfilling his lifelong goal to be in the NFL. You could see, as much as people want to say, oh, well, Quinn should have did this, Quinn should have done that, it looked like Quinn was amazingly grateful to finally make it into the league, and I think likewise could be said about Shedeur Sanders. So first off, congratulations to him being able to sign, do that, whatever, get your signing bonus, you know what I'm saying? Maybe reinvest in a well-off media, maybe reinvest in Shedeur Sanders' personal channel, you feel me? But just, I think I'll make a separate video about Deshaun Watson, but I also wanted to point out, before we give a little praise to Dillon Gabriel and Kenny Pickett, that, looks like Deshaun Watson wants to keep his name in the quarterback competition. So it says, never forget how far you have, everything you have, it will all work. Days till DW4. So basically saying that, the comeback is coming, right? I've been holding on for the longest with no seatbelt on the ride. More glory. So I think Deshaun Watson is the only person who thinks that Deshaun Watson has a chance to start for the Cleveland Browns this year. But we'll see how that shakes out. Now, can we talk about Browns fans? Browns fans, you don't just have one quarterback. You do have another rookie quarterback who, if I might add, is a baller. He's a dude. He transferred from a lot of different places, but he always performed at a high level. Not the tallest, but could spin the ball in a lot of different ways. Dillon Gabriel, apparently everybody's favorite, according to Kay Adams.
Let's do a little stand up, show the world some things. Do a little twirl.
It's different, you see it?
What it is.
How
How does it feel?
we got a team seamstress, so it feels good.
Oh, a seamstress.
It's custom, you know what I mean? The pants is going to be an adjustment for me.
Yeah.
Because I like to wear mine a little high.
How did you pick what you were going to wear today? Because this is going to be iconic.
It's my
Your
everyday.
rookie card.
I don't switch up.
You don't?
This is my everyday.
All right, let's have a seat here. When you put this on and you think of how hungry this fan base is for success, how does it make you feel?
Feels good. There's a lot of work to be done, obviously.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for what's to come.
Okay, who's been your fastest friend so far? I saw Judkins right there. You're out there.
He's up there. I would say Mason Graham.
Really? Why?
So, crazy enough, his family moved to Hawaii.
Uh-huh.
I'm from Hawaii. So ties there, and then we'll probably plan a little Hawaii trip together.
First off, that's awesome. Shout out to Dillon Gabriel, already making, what's it called? Not just friends, but he's making friends with what apparently seems to be, that's close to the homeland and close to that dog. Like I said, please. We're not going to just ignore Dillon Gabriel, right? There's a reason that he's the presumed QB2. There's a reason why he was drafted third overall. The kid can play football, and I'm going to keep telling you that. As much as I'm a Shedeur fan, and I hope Shedeur beats him out because I think it would be dope. I think first off, because I just like Shedeur, you know what I'm saying? I think that the ratings would be great. I think Cleveland Browns fans will enjoy it. I think there would be a lot of positivity that comes even to the league. But that roadblock, that 5'10" roadblock, Dylan Gabriel, I don't think he's going to go anywhere. And clearly Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have a lot of confidence in him. That's why they used the 3rd round overall pick on him, theoretically, right? So who knows? You know what I'm saying? But I do want to, before we get out of here, I just in case you kids don't know, man, and I don't know how many kids it is. This wasn't really that far. This wasn't that long ago. But this is the infamous. This got Kenny Pickett drafted. I'm sorry. This is what got Kenny Pickett drafted, dog. The fake slide, drags his toe, fake slide. Everybody stops, and then that boy just takes off. This is insane. And Kenny Small Hands Pickett, I think is paying or has been paying the price for that notorious move. Obviously, they put a rule in NCAA for fake sliding. So shout out to Kenny. And now he finds himself in a quarterback perpetual battle with the Browns against 2 rookies and a man with giant hands, Joe Flacco. But comment down below who you think will be starting quarterback specifically. Like I asked y'all who would be the second quarterback. I also asked y'all through my posts, and we're going to go through this real quick. I asked y'all who would be what the record for the Browns would be by week 10. So after the bye week 10, right? And then I asked you who will be starting by week 10. And first things first, Deontay Lewis, he's somebody who's been supporting me back since I was making CFB videos. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to him. He says real possibility of the team being winless going into the bye. The Browns does what the Browns does. He says probably the toughest schedule I've seen yet. Again, they do have themselves a gauntlet. The Bengals, then the oh my God, then the Ravens, then the Packers, then the Lions, then the Vikings, then the Steelers, then the Dolphins, then the Patriots. You know, you might get some help there for the Patriots, depending on how good the Patriots are. Dawkins says 2-8. I don't know how to pronounce this, but 4-5 Sanders starts by week 4. Interesting. 3-14. I think you went a little too far there, boy. 4-4. Joe Flacco is starting 3-14. Yo, what is this schedule? And I thought Houston's schedule last year was tough. Dog, they got a schedule. He's going under for the 5 wins. 5-12. 2-6. Oh my god, they'll be winless. Typical Browns. So make sure y'all are commenting and doing things. This is where I usually respond to y'all's comments in the videos. It's getting heated, man. I think they went at Deontay. I think they really went at him. But this, hey, nobody wants that schedule. But comment down below, who do you think is going to start? Like I said, week 10. At everything said and done, who's starting in week 10? It don't mean that Joe Flacco will start. Doesn't mean that, hey, you had Shedeur Sanders as a week 1 starter, but week 10 Dylan Gabriel started. Hey, you let me know down below in the comments. I really appreciate y'all and appreciate all the support recently. Like the video if you like it. Dislike if you don't like it. Please subscribe if you enjoy football content of all shapes and sizes. And we'll see you next time, man. Wait, did I tell you how great you are? Because you already knew how great you is. You know you're great. Keep being great. Keep being beautiful and amazing and spreading the things that you do the way you do, man.